Hi guys. Okay, so we are back here again for another Sunday of learning. And we're going to be learning today about David. More about David. Yes. We've learned what? One, two, David. This is like our fourth week on David, I think. I think. But I could be wrong. Okay, so we have David, right? We're going to put David in our story. We have a few main characters. Some not so main, but here we go. So we got David. We're going to put David here. Alrighty. We're going to give him a crown because kings wear crowns. And then we have Nathan. And I don't know why, but I always feel like these guys are supposed to have staffs. He's a prophet. Okay, so remember, Samuel was a prophet, and then Nathan became the prophet after Samuel died. We learned about Nathan in the last one. Remember, he came to King David, and he was like, hey, I know you want to build God a temple, but he said the tent is fine right now. Just wait. And your son's going to build the temple, okay? That was last week, so I'm just going to give him staff so you can kind of make a distinction. So this is Nathan. I think it's Ian, or is it Ian? You know what? Let me check. It's Ian. I got it right. Okay. And then we have David. Okay. And then we have these two other people in our story. One of them is named Uriah. All right. I don't know if you guys know anyone by that name, but I do. Well, kind of. But Uriah, and he was a soldier in the king's army, so we're going to give him a helmet. I don't know what their helmets look like, but there we go. There's a helmet. He was a soldier, and he was a good soldier, okay? He was faithful to the king. He was like, yes, I'm your soldier, dude, okay? And he had a wife named Bathsheba. Bathsheba, what an interesting name, right? Okay, so, wow, drawled her really bad. I'm just gonna try that one over again. Okay, so Bathsheba, she gets a dress here, and her name is spelled pretty interestingly. It's just Bath and Sheba. So wait. Sheba. Okay, so Bathsheba and Uriah are married. Okay, so this is Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. Okay, he's a good soldier, remember? And I'm sure she was a good wife, all right? So, and then we have Nathan, the prophet. And prophets were like the people who God used to give message to his people, Like there's tons of prophets in the Old Testament where they come and they're like, hey, if you don't do this, like, do you remember about Jonah and the fish? Jonah was a prophet. He went to other places and he's like, hey, if you don't do this, God's going to do this. Or maybe it was like, hey, God's telling me to tell you this. They were like God's messengers, okay? So that's who Nathan was. And then we have King David. Of course, we know all about King David. He's like the guy. He's the man, right? Okay, so just recap on what he did. He killed Goliath. He was picked out of all of his brothers to be king, even though he was the youngest. Remember, he took care of the sheep. He's the guy who killed the lion. That was pretty dope, right? Okay, and then we have, what else did he do? He was a man after God's own heart. Remember, God's like, out of all of them, this is my guy, okay? David was the guy, okay? And he was like so much after God's own heart that he was like, I want to build you a temple. Remember, we learned about that? God's like, nah, the tent's fine. The temple is for someone else to do. You're a man of war, okay? Okay, so, and David's just like, you're just like, man, I want to be like David. He was a cool dude, and he was like all about God, and he wanted to know him. He wanted to know what God wanted, He had it going on, right? But today, we're going to learn about how David disobeyed God. And you're thinking, what? What? This guy who was like perfect disobeyed God? No one's perfect, guys. And the story, I know, I read this story and I think, David, what were you thinking? Like, you had it all. What were you thinking? Okay, we're going to learn about this story, what he did. And you guys are going to be thinking, what were you thinking too? Like, Hello? I think there's a lot of times in our life, though, where we do things and we're like thinking, wait, why did I do that? That was stupid. Or maybe you've seen like your little siblings do something, or maybe your friends or they do something and you're like, why'd you do that? Like, look what happened because you did that. Has that ever happened to you guys? Probably. I know it's happened to me. I always look at my friends. I'm like, what are you doing? You know? Okay, but anyways, so that's what you're gonna be thinking about today, about David in today's story. Okay, it's just like a what were you thinking moment. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little backstory because this curriculum on this particular story does not give a lot of backstory, and I feel like you guys need the backstory to understand what's going on here. Okay. All right, so we have Bathsheba, Uriah, David, Nathan, right? Cool. 4 characters. It's like a perfect little story that's going on here. All right, so here's what happens. Nathan's off doing prophecy stuff. Uriah's at war, okay, so this is war over here. Whoop. He's at the battlefield, okay? And, let's see. Bathsheba's doing whatever, right? And King David, you know what King David's doing? He's talking with God when the story starts, okay? He's talking with God. All right? And then he gets interrupted because he sees Bathsheba and he's like, you know what? I think I need that. I think I need that person. Yes, Bathsheba. Yes. Now let me tell you something about kings. Back then the kings had tons of wives. Like Solomon had like I think it was either 300 or 700 wives. One of the two. Okay, you guys are thinking, what? My dad's like, I have one, that's enough. Okay? But, no. Like, the kings had lots of wives back then. It was not, like, a weird thing to have, okay? And David had tons of wives, okay? He had lots of wives. But he's walking along, and he sees Bathsheba, and he's like, you know what? I like her. So he takes her, right? Well, guess what? He sends her home, whatever. And Bathsheba ends up pregnant. And so he's like, dang it, this is not good. I'm gonna get Uriah to come home from battle so that it won't look like it was anything that I did, right? And then it'll all be fine, all right? So he calls Uriah back. Uriah comes back home, but you know what? Uriah doesn't really go to his wife at all. He just like parties with the king, and the king's like, get out of here, you know? He's like, you know, when you're trying to get something done and someone won't leave or like do what you want them to do, you know, you're like sneakily doing it. That's what David was probably feeling like, okay? Which like he deserved to feel that way though, because he was messing up, okay? So then after that, he doesn't go home. David's like, that plan didn't work. So he's like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to make Uriah fight in the front of the battle, and he'll die, and then I could marry Bathsheba, and it'll all be fine. Okay? You guys are thinking, what? Okay, so in the battle back then, when you go to war, the men in the front usually died first, because, you know, if you're walking and there's a cliff, the people in front of you fall before you fall, right? So usually, the people in the front of the battle would die first. It was just a thing that always happened, okay? So David's like, yeah, he writes a letter, put Uriah in the front of the battle. Uriah gets placed in the front of the battle. No, Uriah was a good guy, okay? He was a good soldier. And David's like, I need him dead, okay? And Uriah dies. So Uriah is no longer part of this story, sadly, because he was a good guy, okay? And then there's just Bathsheba, David, Nathan, okay? So David's like, he's gone. He marries Bathsheba. He's like, yes, okay, this is good. You know, no one knows about what happened. I'm good. You know, like when you steal a cookie, I love this analogy, and you take it to your room and you start eating and you're like, okay, this is good. No one knows I took the cookie. We're good. And then like, what are you doing? Oh no, it's Mom. And now she caught me with the cookie, you know, that type of thing. Well, David thinking, he's like, I didn't get caught. We're good. And that's what a lot of us think when we're like eating our cookie or doing something bad that we shouldn't be doing. And we thinking, yeah, we're getting away with this. This is good, you know? So that's what David thinks. He marries Bathsheba. He thinks, I'm getting away with it. Well, then we pick up our story. in 2 Samuel, which is 10th book. I was wrong. I said 9 last time, but I forgot about Ruth. So, in the 10th book of the Bible, and I have your guys' Bible. So, in chapter 12, and I'm just going to start reading. So the Lord sent the prophet Nathan. Now remember, Nathan is like God's messenger, the prophet. The prophets are to David, okay? So when Nathan came to him, he starts to tell him this story. He says, there was once 2 men in the same town, and one was rich and one was poor. So we're going to like, you know, when you're watching a movie and then like it kind of blurs into like when they're telling a story about something. That's like what's kind of happening in this story, okay? So I'm going to tell you about Nathan and they're talking. Can I make like little talking bubbles? There we go. They're talking back and forth, and Nathan's telling David this story. He's like, okay, there was once this rich guy. We're going to give him a crown because I feel like, or some type of crown because I feel like they'd have crowns, okay? All right? And there was once this poor guy. And we're just going to give him like a, I don't know, nothing. There we go. Not a crown. All right, so rich, poor. Okay, and he says they both lived in the same town. I don't know what town that was. It's just a story. Okay, so, all right, and it says the rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle. All right, so back then, rich people had a lot of sheep and cattle. It was just a thing. If you had sheep and cattle and camels and stuff like that, you must be rich. I'm not going to take all the time to write out these fluffy cloud sheeps because that would take all day. So I'm just going to write a bunch of little ones. Okay, so he had a bunch of sheep. These are all his fluffy, cloudy sheep. Okay, so I actually don't like sheep, but they did. So, so he says, but all the poor man had was one little female lamb, and he had bought it and raised it, and it grew up with him and his children, and he shared his food with it, and it drank out of his cup. It even slept in his arms, and it was just like a daughter to him. Okay, so the poor man had one sheep. Now remember, the rich man, he's got like lots of sheep, like sheep out of your ears, okay? Now this poor guy, he's just got like one little female sheep, and it says that this sheep he had bought the sheep, he had raised it, it grew up with his children, it was like his little friend, it ate out of his hand on his food. He's like, here, have some bread, sheep, you know, and here, have some of my water, sheep. And it was like his daughter. It slept with him at night, and they all slept, you know, okay, so, you know, like when you have a pet, and you just love that pet so much, and you feel like you're his mom, or you're like, it's your best friend, and it sleeps in your bed at night with you. You guys watch movies together, and I don't know if you have a pet like that, but I know some of you have dogs and cats probably, but that's what this sheep was like. It was like their best friend. He loved the sheep like it was his daughter. He was like, this is my daughter, my sheep, you know? Okay? So one day, a traveler came to the rich man, and the rich man wanted to prepare a meal for him, but he didn't want to kill one of his own sheep or cattle. So, you know, when guests come over to your house, and usually you're like eating salad and zucchini and, I don't know, chicken or something for dinner, and then your mom's like, wait, some people are coming over for dinner tonight. We're going to make lasagna, and I need you to go clean the house, you know, that type of thing. You're like, ooh, lasagna, right? Okay, that's what this was like. It's like some travelers coming to the rich guy's house, and he's like, oh, I need to make something nice for him to eat. And he's like, usually back then it was like they prepare like a feast with like a lamb or a cow, okay? So the rich guy's going, I have so many sheep. I don't think I want to kill any of them. They're like everywhere though, but I don't think I want to kill one of my own sheep. That's just, what? Okay, so we have this traveler coming into town. This is the traveler, dude. The rich guy's going, nah, I'm not going to kill one of my sheep. No, I can't do that. I have too many of them to kill. Okay, so, instead, he took the little female lamb that belonged to the poor man. He cooked it for the traveler who had come to him. You guys are going, whoa, that took a turn. The rich guy's like, I have so many sheep, I'm not going to kill any of them. I'm going to go take this guy's lamb, and I'm going to kill it and feed it to my guests. because I can't give up. This guy, that lamb just looks so good, right? So that lamb, gone. You guys are like, what? But I like that lamb. How would you guys feel if someone had like 20 dogs or 30 dogs, 100 dogs, and they're like, you know what? I like these dogs. They're like, I play with them, but you know what? Your dog looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to take your dog, and you can't do anything about it because I'm better than you, type of thing, or something like that. And so they take your dog. You guys would be like, but you have so many dogs. I don't have any dogs. I can't buy another dog. Like, this is my best friend. You guys would be like, what? What? Okay? So that's basically what happened. And it's just not like didn't just take his lamb. He killed his lamb and fed it to his guests. All right? This is like bad. All right? Now this is just, remember, this is just Nathan telling a story about what happened to David. All right? And David, like when you're reading a book or your mom's reading something or you listen to something and the bad guy's winning, you're like, oh, that guy needs to die, well, this is how David felt, okay? David burned with anger against the rich man. Have you guys ever been so angry that you felt like you were going to explode? Like you're just like holding it all in, you're like, That's how David felt. He burned with anger. He was so upset. And he said to Nathan, the man who did this is worthy of death, and that's just as sure as the Lord is alive. So David's like, you know what? The guy who did this deserves to die. And, that's true, as sure as the Lord is alive. And the Lord doesn't die, so, this guy deserves to die, David's saying. And that man should have to pay back 4 times as much as that lamb is worth. And how could he do such a thing? He wasn't even sorry. All right, so David's just like so upset. He's like, man, that guy should pay it back like 4 times as much. He should have to give the poor guy 4 of his lambs. And you know what? He deserves to die on top of that. That's just a given. He's got to go. But then also, he wasn't even sorry he did it. You would think that if someone did something like that, they're like, sorry, actually, I don't, but sorry, I'm taking this. David's like, he's not even sorry he did it. He's not even sorry he killed the lamb. Usually you feel sorry for something when it dies. You're like, oh, I feel so bad for the little fly. Not usually, because flies are pests, and you're like, get out of here. But anyways, that's how this guy felt. David was like, this guy should be he's not even sorry, okay? And then Nathan says this. He says, you're that man. You can just mic drop. What? You're that man. The Lord God of Israel says, I anointed you king over Israel, and I saved you from Saul's powerful hand. And I gave you all his belongings, and I gave you tons of wives, and I gave you everything. I would have even given you more. Okay? So you're like, wait a minute, I'm confused. What? So this story, Nathan is saying, that's what you did. You're the rich man who had lots of wives. But you saw Bathsheba and you're like, you know what? I think I want her as my wife, And then he went and he killed Uriah so that he could get get Bathsheba. And God's like, hey, I gave you everything. Not everything, but I gave you all that you wanted. I would have even given you more. You killed Uriah. What? Just for Bathsheba, you're the rich guy. You weren't even sorry that you killed Uriah. Uriah is a man. This is just a sheep. There's a big difference, guys. And David wasn't even sorry he did it. Okay? And God's saying you're in big trouble. I'm going to bring trouble on you. All right? And then David said to Nathan, I've sinned against the Lord. So David he's like, oh wow. Oh, wow. I am that rich guy. And now, remember how he said, that guy deserves to die? I'm sure he was thinking, I deserve to die. Why did I do that? I totally messed up. Okay? Guys, do you ever mess up in life? Do you ever do something and then you think, man, that was really stupid. Why did I do that? Or you think you're getting away with something, you get caught, and then you think, why did I do that? I have you ever I don't know if this ever happens in your family, but I know this happens in my family. Someone makes pizza or cookies or something, and like we have like three pieces on our plate already, and we're like going to town, and there's like one left, and all of us are like, we have three pieces of pizza on our plate, but we're all fighting over the one that's left because we're like, I want that one. Like, guys, you know what that's called? That's called ungratefulness. When you steal something, you're ungrateful. You're not happy with what you have. Okay? And you're just overcome by like, oh, I just want that and I want that right now. And you don't think about what you have, right? Like, I think I used this example a couple weeks ago, but like about the person maybe who you go in and you eat a jelly bean or something, or you steal some candy out of the cupboard, and your mom comes in and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And you're like, nothing. Yeah, nothing. And she's like, guess what, you don't get no candy for the rest of the month. And you're like, what? There's consequences for when we do things. Okay? And basically, what happened was, God's like, hey man, you messed up. You messed up big time. Like, you messed up way big time. Okay, so Nathan replied. So remember, David says like, wow, I'm stupid. I sinned. I need forgiveness. And Nathan says, the Lord has taken away your sin. You aren't going to die. So he's like, don't worry, God forgives you. But when we do something bad, there's always a consequence for it, okay? He says, but you have dared to make fun of the Lord. So the son which is going to be born to you will die. Okay? And then Nathan went home, and the Lord made the child that was born of Uriah's wife of David very sick, and then eventually the baby died. Okay, guys, every time we sin and do something wrong, there's always something bad that comes after that. God will forgive you, but there's always going to be something bad that comes after that. And a lot of the times we do things that are wrong because we're not happy with what we have. Think about it. When you're upset at your sibling because they took something of yours, or they got more candy than you did or something, you're thinking, so like they got more. Like, wait, you don't have to have any. I'll take it back, God said like, hey, look, I gave you all this stuff. And you were like, nah, I just want this one and I don't care what anybody says. Okay, he was ungrateful. Guys, it's really easy to become ungrateful in our circumstances of what's going on with what we have. Like, you guys have a home. Most of you, I believe, have a home over your head, You guys have food. You guys have clothes. You have water. We live in a country where there's water. And you know what? We're crying and upset because we can't have Domino's tonight or something, And we make a big stink about it, and we get upset, and we do something wrong. Like maybe we like, I don't know, hit our mom or something, or we get all back talky, or we say something that's not nice, or maybe we think something that's not nice, or we go and break something, because we're upset, or we do something that like we decide, well, I'm just gonna do this anyways, even though I know it's wrong. A lot of the times in life, we do that because we're not happy with what we have. David, obviously, he was ungrateful, first of all, but he was also just overcome with like, I just want that right now. A lot of times we can have that. We're like, ooh, I just want that right now. And it's really easy to just like go get that cookie out of the jar. But we have to think about what is going to happen if we take that cookie, We'll just be grateful that we're going to get that cookie after dinner maybe, or that we have lots of cookies in our room. Okay? So, guys, next time you think about doing something that's wrong, think about David and think about how when he sinned, there was bad consequences. His son died. Okay? Like, I don't think that your brother's going to die or something, or your dog or something is going to die if you do something wrong, but there's always going to be something that comes out of that. Like, if you think you're getting away with it, you're probably not getting away with it. David thought he was getting away with it. He didn't get away with it. God was like, I got your number. Okay? So, when you guys think about doing something wrong, just think about David, okay? And think about, like, hey, I don't need to do this something wrong because I have all this stuff that God has already blessed me with. I don't need to go take that cookie, because you know why? Because after dinner, I'm going to ask my mom, and she's probably going to say, sure, honey, you can have a cookie. Or, stuff like that. Or you think, I am gonna, I don't know, hit my brother because I'm upset that he took my toy, Well, maybe just like, here, you can borrow my toy if I can borrow your toy. Or think about all the other toys that you have. Or go talk to your mom or something, but don't do anything that's wrong, okay? Don't do what David did and messed up, because David messed up big time. You're thinking, this guy, what was he thinking? He had it all. Guys, sometimes we're in that stage where we're like, we have it all. We got toys, we got food, we got clothes, we got stuff. We got all the stuff we need, right? But we're like, yeah, that stuff's cool, but I want this. And then we do something that we shouldn't have, and then bad stuff happens, and we think, why did I do that? That's what Dave was thinking. Like, wow, I'm bad. I did something wrong. It's like, so my main point, guys, is before you do something that's bad, think about all the good stuff that you have, and think about what's going to happen if you do this, okay? Be grateful for what you have, and don't just do something because it sounds like it's fun, or do something because it sounds really good at the time. Think about it. Think about it. Like, what's this going to cause? For David, it cost him his son, okay? And I'm sure that he had to live with that guilt his entire life. Just like, what have I done? Type of thing, So, guys, just try not to mess up. Ask God to help you every single day, because we all need God and we all need forgiveness. And he will forgive you if you ask him. But be grateful for what you have. And don't just go do something because you want to. Think about it. Think about it. Okay? So that's all for today. And next week we're going to be talking a lot about the Psalms that David wrote. And you guys are like, what? I'll explain next week. But for now, I'm going to pray for you guys. And one quick thing before I pray, though, is that the pamphlet format things, you can go to calvarychapelwv.org, and you go to Kids Corner, and you click on the download link, and then there's the papers that you can get, or you can just come to the church, and there's like new ones every single week. Just make sure you get them before this Sunday, or next Sunday for next week. But okay, and you guys can pick those up, and you guys, there's coloring pages, activities, things you can do, follow along with me or whatever. And yeah, so I'm gonna pray for you, and then I'll see you guys next week. Okay, so let's bow our head, close our eyes. Okay, dear God, thank you for this day, and thank you that you always forgive us when we ask you to, God, and please help us just to be grateful for what we have and to think about things before we do them, God. And help us to just be people after you, God. And give us all a good day, and keep us all safe, God. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, that's all for today. And I will see you next Sunday for more of David, okay? All right, bye, guys.